but wonder, right? The British public right now are thinking they have a mess of a country that needs sorting out, and it's the job of civil servants to help facilitate a government to do that. But apparently, in Dominic Raab's department, only 38% of his staff bothered turning up for work. And I think I'd be inclined to issue out some pretty strong words if that was the case as well. Are civil servants actually, do they deserve to be shouted at?
Well, it's not 38% turning up for work, it's 38% turning up in their office. They're all at work, whether they're working from home or whether they're working in the office. And one of the incredible things over the last few years that the civil service and the rest of the economy has shown is that actually you don't have to be sitting in an office in central London, costing the taxpayer a lot of money for that office space to be able to be effective in delivering public services. So I think it's an irrelevance around whether Dominic Raab's a bully or not as to whether people are in the office or not. What's quite clear the case is the British public can rightly say, why are we dealing with this? Why has the Prime Minister appointed someone when he knew there were concerns about his conduct? He was briefed about that and he's refused to deny it.
What is it? Is it? Could I just interject? Sorry, just quickly on this. Just quickly on this. Yeah. Okay. All right. I suspect that a lot of the British public want to get this country moving, and they're seeing we're fighting fires left, right, and centre. And I think some people might say, well, maybe the people behind the scenes need a bit of a rocket every now and again, and perhaps they're a bit too soft.
The civil servants want a robust minister. They want ministers who are clear about what their objectives are, who will challenge them around delivery. But there's a difference between that and the counterproductive behaviour, which is bullying. Any organisation that's got bullies is not an effective organisation. You want an effective civil service. You want an effective government delivering for the public. If there are bullies around, then people leave that organisation. There is turnover of staff. Good people who are committed and have got skills will end up going elsewhere because they don't want you working that.
Did that happen a lot under Alistair Campbell for Labour as well? Well, I mean, presumably there was a mass exodus when the likes of Gordon Brown and Alistair Campbell were rampaging through the corridors of power, was there?
Well, it would be the same thing. If they bullied staff, then I'm sure people did the same thing, which they chose to leave. This isn't a party political thing. All of the political parties have got a difficult track record around this issue, both whilst they were in government and as parties and as MPs. We, as a union, as we represent people who work in Parliament as well as work in government, are quite clear. Regardless of where people work, they can expect to be treated with dignity and respect, because that's good for the British public. It makes people work harder. It's not a good place to work if there's someone who's a bully who's a minister, and therefore you need effective mechanisms to deal with it. And that's not what we've got when it comes to the UK government. There isn't really an effective... Can I just say, I appreciate, by the way, I appreciate the irony of me asking this question, given that I am doing a news show and we are talking about it on the news, but there is that constant debate, isn't there, about the tail wagging the dog and vice versa. But I've got to be honest with you, I was quite reluctant to cover this because I think maybe the British public are a bit sick and tired of what is, frankly, I mean, by definition, a Westminster bubble story. When they're seeing their tax bills go through the roof, they're seeing what's going on in Ukraine. I mean, this time yesterday, it looked like World War III might be about to kick off. We've got whatever's going on in the Channel, migrant hotels popping up left, right and centre. I mean, is this not maybe, some would argue, an attempt by some elements of the mainstream media, the more mainstream media, to just keep whipping up these scandals after scandals, and the public don't really want that? Well, as you say, if you're not mainstream media, you're covering it as well. The issue here is about whether government can run effectively and whether ministers are conducting themselves in a way that helps deliver for the British people. If the press want to cover it, then they can cover it. That's up to them. What we are concerned about is, one, that civil servants can work in an environment free from bullying and intimidation. And secondly, actually, there's an effective way to deal with this in government, because this is not good for the British taxpayer. We shouldn't be dealing with this. The Prime Minister has got serious questions to answer about why he appointed Dominic Raab, knowing that there were concerns about his conduct. So the Prime Minister, in part, is responsible for the fact that we are where we are now, and we've been talking about it for the last week.